In this lecture, we will learn about regression and how to implement this type of machine learning algorithm in Python. Regression searches for a relationship among variables. It is also useful when you want to predict a response using a new set of sample data. The simplest type of regression is a linear regression, where the data can be predicted into a best fit line. It is fairly straightforward to implement, and it is easy to interpret the results. Let's learn how to implement a linear regression machine learning algorithm using Python code. The first step that we need to do is open up the command prompt or terminal program so that we can install the scikit-learn module, a Python code library that handles working with regression objects. We will use the cd command to change directories to the one currently storing our Python file. Next, we need to run a pip command to install the module. We will type pip install scikit-learn. When we hit enter, this module will download and install onto our machine. Once it finishes, we are ready to jump to PyCharm and start writing some code. Up at the top of the code, we will import numpy as np, and we will type from sklearn.linearModel import linear regression, which will give us access to the code we need to perform a linear regression in Python. Next, we are going to create a variable named x and set it equal to np.array with a list passed in with the x positions of points. In other words, these will be the x values that will correspond to the y values. The list will contain the values 2, 6, 10, 14, 18, and 22. We will call reshape on the np array and pass in a tuple with the values -1, 1. Next, we will have a variable named y that we set equal to np.array with a list passed in with the values 2, 20, 14, 32, 22, and 38. So note that we now have 6 pairs of xy coordinates that can be seen as points on a coordinate plane. We have the points 2, 2, 6, 20, 10, 14, 14, 32, 18, 22, and 22, 38. The job of the linear regression is to identify a relationship between these points, which we could use to create a best fit line. Using that line, we can then feed the program a new set of points, and it should be able to predict the correlation between them. Let's create a variable named model and set it equal to a linear regression object, which we will use the fit function on and pass in x as the first argument and y as the second argument. Then we will create a variable named coefficient and set it equal to model.score with x passed in as the first argument and y passed in as the second argument. This will give us the coefficient of determination, which tells you which amount of variation in y can be explained by the dependence on x using the particular regression model. We will then print out the coefficient of determination as well as the slope of the best fit line to the console using Python's print function. If we want the program to predict the y values corresponding to the x values, we can create a variable named ypred and set it equal to model.predictx. Then we will print predicted response and then y prediction separated by a new line. Now we want to use that data to predict the correlation on a new set of points. We will create a variable named xnew and set it equal to np.arrange with 5 passed in, and then call reshape on it, passing in a tuple with the values -1 and 1 respectively. Then we will print out xnew. After that, we will create a variable named ynew, which we will set equal to model.predict and pass in xnew. Finally, we will print out ynew. When we run the code, notice that the coefficient is around 0.7, the slope of the line is 1.45, and that based on the new x values we gave it, this data was used to predict the corresponding y values. Now this example was to give you a taste of what regression could be used to do. A real-world example may map the correlation between the amount of time in an industry and salary, for example, to determine the trend. These are the foundational skills to write regression programs. Where you take it is up to you. In the next lecture, we will learn about classification and how to implement this type of machine learning algorithm in Python.